Hello, today is your day to actually wake up to hope at the table of redemption. We are in season 1, building bridges of hope and redemption in crises. We're in part 3, global voices in leadership on resilience, faith, and transformation. Today's episode captures the global leadership story of my colleague Aishwarya Singh of Nepal. I would like to welcome you to our next episode of The Table of Redemption. It has been such a beautiful moment recording all of the beautiful stories of leaders at Harvard Graduate School of Education. Some are at MIT, some are just citizens and leaders in the community. And today I have a very special guest of mine, which is my good friend, Aishwarya Singh. And she is here today to give her wonderful perspective around the culture, around the spirituality, around the practices, and also the generational approach to what it means to be resilient, also defining redemption in ways that we might not have thought about, but also lending her expertise through all the great work that she's done to be who she is and also to make her way not just to Harvard, but through Harvard, because we are 2025, class of 2025 graduates together. So I will get started by asking you. So Aishwarya, tell me, what brings you to the table of redemption?
Oh my God, you started with a bomb question, right? What brings me here? But before I start, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I think you defined it right. We are friends. And I think number one, what brings me here, I felt good about it. I felt strong about it. And I sort of feel that whatever I went through in life while navigating my path towards Harvard, and after that, I feel that people can connect to it, or even if not connect, they can learn something from it. So for me, it's like more of if there's something that I can offer through my words, why not, right? So what brings me here is belief in your platform, a belief in your cause, and a belief in what I'm doing as well. And if there's anything that I can do to support that, I will be in any platforms with you.
Yes, thank you
Yeah,
so much.
of
Before we
course.
get into the actual framework questions, can you give us a bit of your background, what you've done, what makes you who you are? All my guests are so humble, but let me tell you something. I have top-notch guests on this show, and every one of them are so humble. Like they're sitting here like they've done nothing. But Aishwarya is well known, like she is renowned in her country and all her journey coming here to the United States of America. Please give us some more context about your story, your journey in terms of your career path before Harvard, and even give us some stuff what you've done at Harvard, and then we'll get into some life altering stuff.
Um, I've done nothing. No, I'm kidding. I like the way you added career to it. It helps me narrow my answers, or else it would have been like, I do not know, 10, 20 hours or entire day podcast, right?
Yeah.
So I'm from Nepal. I was born there. I grew up there. Since a very young age, education has been a very, very important aspect of my life, not just in terms of there were schools, was I privileged to go to school or not just in terms of privilege and access, but in terms of how meditative it was for me.
Mm.
So growing up, I have seen its impact on me, not just to create the identity that I have, but bringing a sense of purpose in me. And I feel that since it was so much inculcated within me since childhood, and I've deeply felt its value, that's when I knew that, okay, my journey is towards education. Of course, it did not come early in my life. It came much later. But over the years, I realized that I was always tilted towards that side, always finding ways to offer something to the world, especially women and girls empowerment or youth leaders, what I can do, what does learning should look like. So my actual first professional journey started when I not co-founded, when I was a founding board of an organization called Women Lead Nepal. It was back then the first organization creating leadership opportunities or training for girls. And
Mm.
since then, mentorship, coaching, training, I was also creating curriculums in between different institutions, teaching people. But I knew that I could not just limit myself to the classroom. For
Okay.
me, it was much more than that. For me, I've always seen, like I said, education much more than an institution, much more as just like people sitting and learning or exchanging. It has to be beyond that. And by beyond that, I mean something which truly changes your life or
Um,
changes the way you are living your life and gives you
okay.
possibilities and helps you dream and accomplish that dream.
Mm.
And I love taking risk. So, and after that, I um, was the founding board president for this organization called Putali Nepal,
Mhm.
which was I created my own project called Butterfly Project, which was the framework that I created reflecting on what had happened in my life. So the way education worked for me, I kind of transformed that into a project, hoping that that would bring some positive change in a grassroots level at Nepal. Thankfully, gratefully, made it to Forbes 30 under 30. I was also doing very good academically, because for me, academics is more, it has to be relevant. And wherever I'm spending time, it has to make sense to me. So
Mhm.
my work was complementing my studies, and my study was complementing my work. Or even if it was not in a curricular wise, I made sure that they both were complementing each other. So I
Mm.
was pretty much doing good academically also. I have 6 gold medals. You asked me to share everything, so that's
Please
there.
do. 6 gold
Yeah,
medals?
6 gold medals. Yeah.
Please hold on. Say it again. Say it again.
Yes, 6 gold medals. I the recent one was I received the Chancellor Gold Medal from the Prime Minister of Nepal, which was for topping the Kathmandu University
Uh-huh.
with 4.0 GPA. So yes, academically, yes, professionally, yes. So I've been there, trying to merge this two space, because for me, I feel that until unless I embody the cause, I cannot fight for the cause.
Ooh, say it again. Say it again, honey.
Okay, I'm somebody who believes that until unless I embody a cause, I cannot fight for the cause. And what I mean, and what I'm trying to say is that I have seen always a wide gap between education, what happens in the classroom versus
Uh-huh.
what happens in actual life.
Okay.
So it never made sense to me to go out and then preach about what education should be, what learning should be, what impact it can do until unless I taste that on myself. So I have always been my own guinea pig,
Ooh, that's good.
always my
Yes.
own guinea pig. And I am very authentic. I want to live a genuine life for me. So I always do it on myself. Is it working for myself? And if it's working for myself, I know it's going to work for others, because we live in a social group. You
Yeah.
know, policies, norms, culture, it always holds us together. We might not realize, but it's there. So if it works for me, I'm a member of this society. I'm sure it's going to work for somebody out there. If certain rules is working for all of us,
Mhm.
if family values is working for all of us in each way, I'm pretty much sure education works for everybody in a way I feel it's working for everybody. So bringing that together, and it was very possible. I was very much bringing these two aspects of my life together. I was researching about topics that I went through, like school bullying, social capital, everything that was very much relevant to my life.
Mhm.
And I researched about that, and I realized, oh my God, it actually exists in society. I'm not the only odd one out here. There's a
Yeah.
reason why all of this is happening. So when I started seeing the combination of both, I realized the power of experiential learning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say a little bit about that. I know it's about career, but it's very important for me to give this background to inform why I do what I do.
Okay.
So for me, experiential learning, I hear people, and most of us, we believe that it's about engaging in a work. For example, it's you engage, you do something with your hands, you experiment, and then you learn something, right? In
Mhm.
social aspect, under development context, I understand experiential learning as something you have experienced in your life.
Ooh,
So it
that's
ha-
good.
yeah, so it's not just your hands, it's just not your mind at that point. You have experienced something, your soul has experienced it. You have experienced it emotionally, mentally, physically, you know, and then it's like accumulated over a span of time where who you are is very much informed by what you have gone through.
Yeah.
And I feel that once that experience is so strong and it's so much part of you, if there's a knowledge which can inform that or name that experience, there's so much you can do with that. But like I said, it's in a developmental context. For example, I'll give an example. If you've gone through domestic violence, but you have no idea you've gone through it. So in childhood, you've been in a household where you've seen that and you've normalized it, telling that, you know what, it happens. This is part of every family. But there are researchers which has happened somewhere in the world, which has named it and named it as domestic violence,
Mm,
right? It happened with somebody, they did research, they came up with a knowledge, they found the word, they found how it happens, what are the symptoms, what impact it has, mental health, all of that health. Now,
mhm.
as somebody who has experienced that but never knew what it was, I get that piece of information and I realize, oh my God, this is not okay. What had been considered normal my entire life was something which was not normal at all. Now, what do you do after that? You have the
Yeah.
knowledge. Now, there's a thin line between, there's a gap. I wouldn't say thin line, there's a gap between knowledge and action. Something happens in between there. There has to be a catalyst. There has to be a motivator. There has to be something which is telling you that, nudging you and telling, hey, you got to take that action to change your life. That's where education comes in.
Ooh,
That's that tiny gap that's there. And it can embody different things. It
okay.
can embody your cultural context, what you learn from it. It can embody like introspection, which you learn from it. There's a lot of learning in phases that happens, but the gap is just that small. Or
Mm,
there's a learning which tells you to motivate. There's a learning which is giving you that power to change your life, right?
mhm.
And once that learning steps in the right way, that's when I hold the agency in my life. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm going to break this generational pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
So likewise, when I when I experienced something like this for the first time, I realized that what I'm going personally is not just my personal problems. It has to happen there in larger society, and I have to find out why that's happening. As much as I'm a unique individual, I'm also an individual which belongs,
Mm,
in a society, in a family, in a community. So that's when I started picking up subjects like social capital, bullying, uh, poverty, different topics like this while I was in my undergrad, while I was in my graduate studies, started doing research on it, and came to a point where I was able to create my butterfly project. And I say it mine because it's a reflection of who I am. Hopefully it will continue to serve the purpose it is meant to serve. So this in itself is an experiential learning while trying to promote experiential learning. You get how complex it looks, but yet so simple it is, and how
yeah.
beautiful it is in its own way. It's
Yes.
beautiful because it's serving a purpose,
Mhm.
right? So my entire career has been a career which has evolved.
Yeah.
And I say it has evolved because I have evolved.
Mhm.
So that's where all the academic success, that's where all the professional success, that's where all the name, fame, whatever you say comes in the picture. And that's where my Harvard journey actually started from that point.
Good. Well, let's unpack that a little bit. This is our show. Like we got time,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, of
So
course.
take me back to because what's going to be so impactful is I'm strategically engaging with this so that when people look you up online, they will never believe the story that we're about to tell of redemption.
Yeah,
They won't believe it because we don't look like what we've been through. Like,
yep,
and if once you get the Harvard brand on you, people just turn it off that you're suffering, that you're just a pretty face, or you always was like this. But let's take a minute. I really want to unpack this because I'm learning from you as well. As my friend, I still didn't know all of
uh,
this.
of course.
Okay, let's go back to Forbes 30 under 30. That's
Mhm.
pretty awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Honey, yes, honey. Okay.
Okay, I'm taking that.
Yes, then let's go back to the six gold medals and let's go back to the Butterfly Project and let's talk about what those two dichotomies mean to you to bring your world together. So,
Hmm.
what I love most is when you described your take on experiential learning. That touched me. I never
Hmm.
once thought about it like that. So that might have been one of the key ingredients is to the 6 gold medals, to the 30 under 30, to all of that. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Oh my God,
Can
yes.
you go back a little bit and just unpack
Yeah,
things or unpack um just the success of it all before we talk about what my friend has
yeah,
gone through to
yeah,
be here today.
yeah. So the gold medals and Forbes 30 under 30 is very personal. It was not something I've craved for, like, oh my God, obsessing over it. Never. The journey has always been about learning to trust myself. I know it's a little different and a little it detours from the experiential learning and everything that I'm telling and how I've associated with my career, but it's very much related to that as well. Um, when you go through so much in your childhood, which I have, there's something that you have to start building on your own, which unfortunately at that stage it was not built. And that the thing that you build are the positive voices. The thing that you build is your confidence. The thing that you build is your path and your journey, and you carve your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, so I was in school, I have never, ever, ever received a single certificate in school. And I've never felt bad about it. Never, ever. I'm a person who's like in a peace mode. I'm like, whatever is happening to me is happening to me. But something that was always in me is like, I'm somebody, for example, let's say the total score is 10, a teacher gives you 9.5. I'm somebody who will walk to the teacher and say, what can I do to close that gap? What can I do better to earn that 0.5 back? Learning has always been, I think it's an innate thing which has been in me. I think it was there since I was born. So that learning aspect was always in me. So for me, it has never been about, oh, I'm going to compete with this person. Oh, how much did this person get? So I have to be at the top. Never. It was always about a journey where I learned to believe in myself, identify my voice, find my cause, find my purpose. So the 6 gold medals came, I think, because I was so dedicated in what I was studying. I always need to find relevance of what I'm studying.
Good. Okay.
And I always need to carry that forward. And the students or the youths or anybody that I'm involved with, either through coaching, mentorship, whatever you name it, I have to make them see the relevance of it. So I feel the medals are the byproduct. The actual accomplishment was finding myself.
Oh.
The external factors that is there, I feel that you feel it's a journey outward. No, the journey has always been inward. Always. The mountains are inside, the hills are inside, the storm is inside, the wave is inside. Everything is inside, and you navigate that inside.
Hold
So it
on.
has, yeah.
I can't let you go by. And that's so powerful. Hold on. Give me a minute. Hold on. The mountains are inside, the waves are inside, the
Yeah.
hills are inside, the success is
Storm.
the storm is inside.
Yes. Rainbow is inside. The
The
sunshine
rainbow
is
is
inside.
inside. Keep it going. What else is inside?
Rainfall is inside. Snow is inside. Hailstorm is inside. I'm trying to draw an analogy. What I mean is like there are ways when seasons arrive, they make you feel a certain way and behave a certain way. Your
Okay.
lifestyle changes, right? So the reason I'm saying it's all inside you is when there's a certain mental and emotional state, your lifestyle changes, the way you see world changes, the perspective changes.
Okay.
So when I say mountains are inside, it's like, I mean, the long journey, the difficult journey, which you have to navigate and go all the way up there. That's there. When I say about hills, it's like up and down, the way it's flowing, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. That's inside. When I say about rainbows, it's like the beautiful feeling, perhaps, which you have accomplished once you reach at the top. That is inside. Everything you experience in life is inward. So my journey has always been about navigating mountains, hills, maze, everything, and reaching to a point where I could see that rainbow. I know it was for a very temporary period, so I had to live my life then, embrace what I had accomplished, and move to a next hill stop or maybe cross oceans or whatever it was. That it has always been inside. It is managing your inward self. And this was experiential. I experienced this.
Okay.
There were a lot of things I did. It was not an easy journey. It requires a lot of introspection, a lot of reflection.
Mhm.
Learning, constantly learning, having a growth mindset, learning from each other, learning from TV series, whatever you do, if you have that learner's mindset in you, your journey in what becomes way, I wouldn't say easier, but supportive, like sort of a catalyst.
Mhm.
Um, so when I was going through the journey which I have inside, and I'm not yet there, perhaps not even midway, I have a lot of things to do. Um, it's so much experiential, and you've learned so many tools. You have gained so many wisdom, insights. Now because of that tool, because of that learning, I've taken actions where
Ooh.
I've possibly written a paper, where I've researched, where I have created a framework, curriculum, stuff, informed policies, program projects, did consultancy work, uh, created strategies for organizations, individuals. It's because I have experienced it. I know what will be important for this person, what is going to work, but my own experience would also informing my own learning experience. It seems complicated, but I think once you are very much immersed in that experience and kind of embody it, I feel that it's very easy. So 6 gold medals is just a reminder that nothing is impossible in this world.
Mm.
Constantly be focused, know your purpose. The more you know yourself, the more authentic life you live.
Mm.
And I feel same thing with Forbes 30 under 30, because I've always been such an intentional person of what I do, what I study, who I interact with, and everything.
Mhm.
Um, there was a profile that I was building perhaps, and it was out there. Like I said, nothing was planned. I never craved for it. One person I remember, she was in my previous organization, a colleague, she told me that you are somebody who's meant for Forbes 30 under 30. And I never took it seriously, but it happened. And she was the
Wow.
first person I reached out to and said that a couple of years back, you were the first person who told me that. And it never was even a passion project or a dream, it was just there. It's just there. I have to continue to do what I do. So whenever I look at this accolades, it's first of all, I do not express it or say it like I am this, because I feel for me to be able to own that and accept that, I still have to continue to do what I started with, right? But it's a reminder. It's a reminder that, hey, you cannot stop here. The journey inward, you do not know how deep that's going to go, but you have to continue. Come on, get up. Get up, get up. You
Come
cannot
on.
rest. No. I mean, so that's a reminder. That's a reminder of what potential human beings can hold despite what's happening.
Yes.
The resilience one holds. Um,
Yes, this is excellent. So now we can get into the framework because to me, I think you just the first, I think you just defined resilience already in your
yeah,
own words, and you
yeah.
can add on to it. But the way I framed up what you were saying under the first question is, how do you define resilience? And you have such a poetic,
Hmm.
such a spiritual, such a divine, it feels like a divine way of seeing things. So, because say, for instance, you could see it and no, you could say the same words and no one else can see what you're saying. But then
Hmm.
you are one of the guests that go back and help us paint that picture. And it's almost like it's not you. It's
Hmm.
you, but it's not you.
Okay.
To me, resilience is when you say the mountains inside, the storm is inside, the waves are inside, the hills are inside. I got excited because I never could see that even a teenager, if I explain resilience like that, they could actually get it that day. Like they could get
Yeah.
it. But you can expound a bit more on resilience. The resilience, to me, so far in my dedication to this has been a 20-year project that I've been working on, living it and doing it as a practitioner, and then coming to Harvard for the last 9 months to actually document it, land it, write the book about it, do all this other stuff, and just make sure I take people along the journey with me. And you're one of my favorites.
Oh,
But
oh my God, I'm touched. Thank
yeah,
you.
but look at this. So when you're describing such a beautiful lens out of such sorrow that you've had, like, okay, so the resiliency can be a pendulum shift. It could
Very
swing
much.
where someone is resilient because of what they suffered. Someone can be right in the middle and just they're neutral about it. They just don't, they just resilient or whatever, and they've just landed the plane. But then there's another side where we're not necessarily trying to be strong about it.
Mm-hmm.
We see
Mm-hmm.
resilience as a different way of life. Can you please expound on that?
Yeah. Before that, I want to have to tell you that you're my favorites as well. Okay, so that's mutual. That's something we share. Okay. Resilience. I came to US on 5th November 2021, and it has been a 4-year long journey inward, which has made me truly understand what resilience is and what it should be. So all the concept that I've had in my head about what resilience is was wrong. And it was wrong in so many ways. But I will tell you what is right first before I step into what's wrong. For me, resilience is not resistance and not endurance. But please understand that whatever I'm saying is in a context of suffering. It's not that, I go to gym and I lift dumbbells and it's like, oh my God, I endure, and that's not resistance. So I'm not directing towards that. Whatever I'm telling, it's within the boundaries of suffering, sorrow, the journey inward. So please keep, like, we have to make sure that that's in our mind. I come from a culture which is so strong, which is so beautiful, which is humble. But yet, the definition of strength or resilience, I feel, is not understood or internalized the way it should be. For example, simple example, okay? And I hope people can relate to this. I come from a patriarchal society. Let's say a woman is there, married to a family, doing all the household work, could never go to school because she was burdened with this household work. She had to take care of family, she had to take care of husband, kitchen, navigating this, micromanaging the home thing. And then she endured a lot. She could not use her voice, she could not follow her dreams, and she, over the time, sort of felt that her dharma or her karma was to actually take care of a family. This is what she's meant to do, though inward she was suffering. She's still dreaming of the person she wants to be. She's still dreaming of a passion project that she could have done if she was not married, all of that stuff. Couple of years into marriage, she gives birth to a beautiful daughter. Okay, and then in her, she sees her reflection. And she now wants that daughter to accomplish what she could never accomplish. Such a beautiful thing, right? She fights for her right. She makes sure she goes to a good school, is educated, is able to use her voice and all of that. Beautiful. Everything is beautiful about that. But if later on somebody asks that child, like, hey, who is your inspiration? That person is going to say, it's my mother. Why? Because she endured so much. She tolerated so much to make sure who I am, where I am. And we sort of equate that with resilience. For me, that is not resilience, that's endurance. So most of the time, what happens is that the way we frame things, the way we relate certain part of life with certain words, I feel we have to frame it differently. For example, if I go through pain and suffering, it's like, you are such a strong person, Aishwarya. I've been through so much in life, and you handled yourself so well. I mean, like, am I resilient? Am I strong? Or I just endured and accepted what was given to me as fate? There's a difference there. There's a difference there. Resilience would be when I know what I am surrounded with, what my environment is, and I take the control and power back in my hand and say, you know what? This is not the life I want. I deserve a better life. I deserve a better version of myself. And I'm still duty bound. I still love my family. I still love my child. But there has to be a way where I navigate this and balance duty and who I want to become. And now, resilience is taking that power in your hand, identifying the agency in your hand, and taking actions to change the life or build the life that you deserve. That is resilience for me. Earlier, for me, it was like, oh my God, the more I endure, the more resilient I'm going to be. I was so wrong. So wrong. Yes, you see my Forbes. Yes, you see my gold medals. Yes, there are other recognition, other stuff that I have done, which is like there, and I can go on listing. But that came with endurance.
I get it.
I did what I had to do because it was my passion thing. I was doing it subconsciously. I was not doing it consciously. I was following my heart. I was following my passion. That is who I am born as. That's me. I keep on doing that. I love risk. I love challenges. I like seeing things different perspective. I like experimenting stuff. That's me. That's always me. But that came out of endurance, not resilience.
Mm.
But yes, to be resilient, you have to endure as well.
Hmm.
But how long you endure,
Ooh.
to what extent you endure, and for what you're enduring,
Mm.
that's the thing that you have to focus on,
Yeah.
right? So the way I'm still coming to Harvard. Yes, I'll go, I'll do great. I'm confident that I'll end up in a good space. I know that. But this time I'm doing it out of resilience, not endurance, not just endurance, you know.
This is
So
good. So tell me, okay, so this is fantastic. Now watch this.
mhm,
When to me, you opened up a bag of resilience and went inside of it and got out of there a component of resilience, which is endurance for me, the way I'm hearing
mhm,
it. And I
mhm,
want the guests to be able to hear it too. Um, so inside of your version of living and experiencing resilience, not just reading it on the internet, not just taking someone else's word from it, you've been able to help me see that if I had a bag of resilience right here, inside of it, I dig inside of it and I'm going to pull out a component, which is endurance. And
mhm.
but if I only had endurance alone, that wouldn't be called resilience. But you need that inside your tub or your packet. You need a lot of things inside
Yeah,
of your container of resilience, but those are side quests. Those are not basically resilience.
exactly.
So this is helping me see that what you are calling resilience to me is redemption. That's why I
Mhm.
don't go by the spiritual definition of redemption when I
Yep,
always talk about what leadership redemption is, because I've endured something and then what came out of that something is what I'm putting on the table as redemption.
yep,
Not redemption as in I'm sorry, I have an atonement, I lost something, whatever. But it is like, okay, you have done that, but what makes you resilient is because you were able to take those tools, work them, build
yep,
something and
yep,
redeem that experience and bring
yep,
something to the world that they can also enjoy or mitigate. Or
exactly.
and I think that's what your life has actually done for me as I'm just as
Yeah,
your friend and me just looking
yeah,
at things through your lens. That's what this show is. I want to see through your
yeah.
lens.
Yes. So that's exactly, you got me right. You know, you cannot take everything out of the bag. It stays there in endurance, tools, commitment, all this adjective stays there. But you're asking me the difference. I'll try to explain it in as simple way that I can. So when
Okay.
I said that my previous achievement was part of my, like me enduring stuff. Yes, people might question, but you still took action. Of course, I took action. Of course, I moved ahead. But I was not owning my voice and owning myself. I was just taking actions, which means I was skilled and talented enough, you know, for me to continue doing and get success in what I did. But there was no self-awareness in terms of what I want in life, who I am as a person, um, and still being in that environment where suffering was so much that I was enduring it, that pain, and still doing whatever I wanted to do.
Mm,
Okay. But when I talk about resilience, which is like after coming to US, what's happening now is my environment is hurtful. It's full with sufferings. There was a lot of ups and downs, yes. But the difference now is that I'm not going to still be in that situation and continue to do or build my life from that environment or that state. Resilience for me is like, hey, look around the fact that I'm like, I don't deserve this suffering. You cannot constantly prick me or give me that pain. First of all, I'm going to change this state. I'm going to own the power in my hand and say, I don't have to be in this. I don't have to be in the relationship that's hurting me. I do not have to be with any family members who's not respecting me. I do not have to be with a friend who does not respect my boundary. I do not have to lie, deceive, be delusional, fake myself with anything that is making me suffer and giving me that pain. I'm resilient enough to build that life by turning this side and saying, hey, I'm in charge of my life and I'm going to change this. And it's a tough task. It's a
Very,
very tough task. It took me
very tough.
32 years to realize this difference. Some pain stays with you. It's not going anywhere. That's some things are under your control, some are not. But when I talk about resilience, is this aspect. For example, you're being bullied. You just stay there saying it's normal, blah, blah, blah. I will still continue to study. I will be the person that I'm supposed to be. But what will take that person to be resilient and say that this does not have to stay the same? I can still be in a peaceful state of mind and environment and achieve that dream. I don't have to suffer always to be a great person. That is in our head, until unless you don't suffer, until unless you do not feel the pain, you will not be a great individual or you'll not accomplish anything in life. Who said it?
Ooh.
Like, who said it? What evidence do you have?
Come on now, say it again. Come on, say it again.
It's like, okay, I hear a lot of wisdom, a lot of motivational story. It's like I have my story. Trust me, if you listen to my story, I can come up with a lot of genre. Which genre do you want to listen? Heartbreaks, pains, romance, family drama, political
Just pick
drama.
one, right?
No, motivation, paranormal activities, pick one. What do you want to choose? I can say a lot of the stuff. But I'm not going to be somebody who's like, you know what, Rasheen, I went through so much in my life. This happened to me, that happened to me since childhood, blah, blah, blah. And look at me, I made it to Harvard. I don't want that as my story. I'm like, you know what? She went through so much, but she told herself, this is not my reality. This does not have to be a reality. She fought against the system. By system, it can be micro system at a micro level or macro level. She fought with those individuals. She fought for her life. And then she pulled herself out of that. She brought her into a space which was calm, which was peaceful, which was positive and healthy for her. And then from then she started building the life. That's the difference.
Ooh.
That's where the resilience part comes in. So
Ooh.
like I said, when I'm talking about resilience, it's in a developmental aspect, in an aspect of suffering. What causes that suffering? Why are you suffering? Some pain is going to remain. And right now, I know it's like we are using these terms like pain, suffering, this, resilience, endurance. But one thing I have to say is that until and unless you are self-aware, until and unless there has been enough introspection, until and unless there has been a moment where you have spent with yourself in isolation and solitude, you are not going to understand or resonate to what I'm saying. This work, this understanding came off living with myself, the toughest task, living with myself, dating myself, marrying myself, my thoughts, my emotions, over 4 years. It's like, I think you have heard, would you date yourself? And if the answer is yes or no, it depends, like, okay, you're ready for a relationship or not, right? It's the same thing. I have dated myself, married myself, been with my thoughts, every thought's been so aware about it. For me to come in a place and say that, hey, I know how it works.
Oh.
And, like moving forward, that's what I want to do, build a resilient framework, which I'm going to incorporate while I do consultant work, while I do any work in the future. That this does not have to stay the same. It can change. And you have the power to change. And who brings that power? Education is going to give you power. What sort of education learning? That's where I'll step in and I'll help you.
Okay. So then now you have awakened another question that's not even on here.
Yeah.
And then I will go into just seeing what you actually need to have what you're saying. That's where my expertise comes in. That when we're talking about resilience or positing any form of resilience, it's a very powerful tool. But it's also a word people throw around all the time. Like when they say the word love, people say, oh, I love those shoes. I love a hot dog, but you also say you love me.
Yeah.
It's basically what you're saying, that we have to be very much more careful when we're using this word resilience. And even now, I'm burning up in Peabody Terrace. I feel like I'm resilient. I'm sweating on camera.
Yeah, I know. You're enduring that. You can literally say and choose that, you know what, we can pause this. I'll go find a place where the AC is cool. I don't have to sweat. That would be resilient. You're enduring right now.
Right, right. And so your framework would call what I'm doing an endurance.
Yep.
Someone else would say resilience would be because I am sitting here and because I am going through, that is resilience. So I'll be interested in having you clearly define the difference between your version of resilience versus resistance. Because at this point now we have in my framework, it's versions of resilience and versions of redemption that I've defined. But here's what I'm saying. So far, learning from you, endurance is in that bag of resilience, and resistance is coming out of that bag, but
Yep.
it's still resilience.
Yeah. So the way I see resistance, this is through lens of Aishwarya's lens. And like I said, again, bringing it back, don't generalize, never generalize anything. It's like in a particular situation, for particular thing, for particular aspect, suffering, problem that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
where this perspective would make sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for me, resistance is when something happens to you, which is not your cause, which is not your fault. It's not because of your causing your action, whatever. And you are in an environment, in a system where you are suffering, but you've accepted that this is what my life is meant to be. I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to do this 24-hour job, which is supposed to be 8-hour job, but then it extends so much mentally and emotionally that it goes beyond 24 hours. Or I'm saying, like, I don't want to be in this relationship, but you know what if I don't find a man? What if, it's like, I love him so much. Oh my God, like, will I be alone? So much of insecurity. I still want to endure this pain. I'm so strong that I'm giving love. I'm such a committed soul that I'm enduring so much and still holding this epitome of being the most loving person in this world. Or when I'm saying that I don't like this friendship because it's not respecting my boundary, but you know what? I'm very careful of how people are going to judge me. So I think I'm not going to out loudly say that this is what I do not like, and I'm going to be there. These are all resistance. My husband is like, now this is from the Asian context, like, okay, he's torturing me. There's a lot of abuse that happens in the household, but you know what? This is what women are meant to suffer. This is what, like, women are meant for. This is like given. This is how the society functions. It's normal. That's resistance. You're resisting every chance, every possibility out there in the world where you do not have to suffer,
Mm.
where you can end it, where you can create a better life for yourself, the life you deserve. You think you deserve. You
Mm.
have to think, you have to believe. Until unless you will,
Mm.
no matter how much I say, no matter how much you say, or even God comes and tells you, you'll not be able to see that opportunities and possibilities that is there. And
Mm.
like I said, it doesn't mean the pain is going to go away. No, relationship ends. What you thought was the entire life, the family does not end up being that. What you thought are your closest buddy do not respect your boundary. It hurts you. It hurts you very deeply. It's poignant. The pain is like poignant, it stays with you. But with time, hopefully you heal. But the
Mm.
suffering ends.
Got it. Got
And that is resilience for me when I said that I
Mhm.
am powerful. I in itself, there's an entire ocean and universe within that word.
Woo, woo, say it again. Say it again. Say it one more time.
Yeah, so the word I, it has an entire ocean and universe within it. And we don't realize this.
Mm.
I didn't realize it. It was 4 years of dating myself, being in a space where there was nobody. Life had changed drastically when I moved to US. In New York, in a concrete jungle where you do not have friends, where you do not have community, all that you can do is be with yourself. It was, oh my God, there was all that was for 4 years. The storm was inside me. Storm, hailstorm, earthquake, mention anything that was inside me, navigating all of that. And it took me almost 2.5 years to realize that who said this has to be the same way? Why am I resisting every chance and possibility that is there for me to create a better world and life for myself?
Mm.
And that's when resilience came in. And then I sat and I said, what am I good at? What are
Mm.
my skills? And there's a lot
Mm.
of introspection, reflection that happened, what I've done in the past, the lives I've changed, the person I want to be, everything. And then you're tussling inside. There's tug of war going, okay? tug of war going, this is old me, this is new me, this is future me. And then Harvard happened. Education has always been a meditation for me. It's
Mhm.
always something which has given me strength. It has always been a holy place. My dharma, my karma, everything that has given me identity, from giving me the strength that I hold as a person now, the learning space is something that works for me. And I always wanted to go to one of the top universities, always. The dream has been there. But there was a lot of resistance, not from my side, but then from the legal side, family side, all of that.
Mhm.
And since it was right there in front of me, not the way I thought it would come in my life, but right there, I I held the power in my hand. I
Mhm.
applied for it,
Mhm.
and the rest is history. That was resistance for me.
This is
But just a
okay.
minute, I need
Okay.
to tell this. But had I just like sat there in a situation which was creating suffering for me, not spoken against it, not verbalizing the pain, just saying this is my fate, but you know what? I'll still apply to Harvard.
Mhm.
Maybe I can get rid of it. There's a difference between getting rid of it and the difference between distracting yourself.
Ooh, say it again.
Okay,
Say.
there's a huge difference between distraction and getting rid of it. You can distract yourself from the pain, but have you actually got rid of the pain?
Oh.
You can actually distract yourself from the things which cause you suffering, but have you actually got rid of the factors which is creating suffering?
Uh-huh.
This time for me, it was telling that I will get rid of this. Not yet, but I will soon get rid of what's causing me suffering, dealing with my pain in own healthy way that I can, and then applying to Harvard. So it's we feel that it's very external. The journey is inward. In which
Mhm.
state you are, what is your true feeling? Who
Mhm.
is the person that you have become? Who is the person you're trying to embrace? Everything is inward. And something I would like to say is that, logic and emotions, we sometimes, how we say that, oh, this person is so intellectual, so practical, and we so feel proud about it. I feel every time you speak about logic, emotion is there. Every time you speak about emotion, logic is
What
there.
is it? Okay.
How can you be a human being without feeling emotions? You're not an AI or a robot. Excuse me. When
Mm-hmm.
somebody tells that you are so practical and when you make a decision from here, you're still feeling good about it, means your emotion is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we create this two as two different extremes. Like, being emotional is being very sensitive. Women are often associated, mother figures are associated with it. And being practical is like, oh, when we talk about practicality, intellectual stuff, we associate men usually with this field. But
Mm-hmm.
these two are not separable. When I'm making a very rational decision, I feel good about it or I feel bad about it. Means emotion is informing those decisions. And when I'm feeling something like I'm not feeling good about it, then the logic comes and says, so what do you do about these emotions? So they're not inseparable. So this is what happens. It's like it's a combination of both when you are in that state. But like I said, what I say is not going to make sense to people until unless they have done enough self-work, inward journey, until unless there's enough introspection and they see that their journey has always been inward,
And
never external, always inward.
yes, this is now going to go to the power of having a purpose, because when you say, so the framework that I built, purpose is the first pillar.
Mhm.
Resilience is the actual Resilience is an actual form of redemption. It's a form. I'm
Mhm.
not calling redemption for one. It's so we're on the same page in terms of being able to have different dichotomies in order to actually land what we really are trying to say. That's the beauty in our relationship in real life, that we
Mhm.
can have two different religions or faith. We can also have two different races or culture. We can also have two different books we're reading, but when we get together, it just feel like it's the same. Feel like we're
Yeah, yeah,
just we're
I
just
know.
together. And
I
so
know.
I love the liberty right here to say that for me, my takeaway so far on the resilience piece, I'm going to go back, and this is for the listener and the viewer. We have a container, and in Aishwarya's world, in this container, you have to put endurance in there, Make sure you have levels of resistance in there. Make sure you have levels of emotions and logic and a host of other things. I don't know if I put the word agency, because that word to
Agents,
me, agency to me is the word power.
yeah, learning. This all is wrapped up by learning.
Okay. And so if this is the case, then now we have tools that people can actually draw upon to assess if you are resilient or not. So as I continue to develop the framework further, right? It's already done. It's moving forward, all right? But the podcast is to get into collaborative refinement, to refine
Mhm,
it. And if I had to refine it using Aishwarya's definition, I would then give people an assessment to be able to assess where are you on your journey of resilience. You
mhm,
know that you are resilient and you are, and you're beautiful. Now, my resilience came from the struggling, from the suffering, because I didn't have too many good days. Even though I have lots of awards, I did not arrive to the definition that Aishwarya has until I met her. See, this is the beauty in these transactions, and this is the beauty in not going by a label or a title or a or loving what I call people, you love through your eyes and not your heart.
mhm,
So the drop down menu is in our heart. We have to be able to assess. When Aswarya is talking about the number one way is in relationships, especially love relationships where you don't have the courage to leave an abusive situation. And so that's another component I'm putting in my bag, courage, a
mhm,
resiliency. Courage,
mhm.
courage, currency. I'm putting all kind
Accept.
of things in my bag of resilience based on her definition. You should do the same. So what I posit in my framework is that none of this could be possible if you don't know your purpose. Why
Yeah.
are you here? And I find that that's the number one reason why people accept and tolerate stuff because they don't know why. They don't
Mhm,
know why. They don't know why they're staying. They don't know why they're leaving. They don't know why they're standing still. They're frozen. They just know something bad is happening or also something good has happened. It all can freeze you right there. So, in your own words, then talk to us about the impact of purpose, having a
mhm,
great purpose. And because all these things help pull you back up to the place where you fell from or the place where you have been redeemed from, and you have to bring yourself back to like Aswarya said, that I. An ocean is in there, mountains in there, a whole life is in there. Bring yourself back to your I. What does purpose mean to you, and how impactful that is with what your definition of resilience is?
mhm. You put that everything such a beautiful way. I was like, oh my God, I can listen to Rasheen on and on 24 hours. That's the bond we share, right?
Yeah.
Before I go to purpose, I have to talk about acceptance.
Ooh, come
Okay.
on, talk about it, honey.
So if you're in a situation, which we talked about, where you can find resilience, accepting that I am suffering is way different than accepting that suffering exists. Now, the reason I'm telling that is we
Thank
can
you.
right? We have accepted that suffering exists. Yes, it's existing in my life, it's existing around, versus accepting that I am suffering. It's happening to me. We don't, we, and this comes from experience. We always want to tussle that thought. We're like, no, this cannot happen to me. How can I be treated this way? Oh my God, how come I ended up with a toxic relationship? How come I got the friends that I thought were like so beautiful and supportive? I've given my entire heart and soul to this. Or how come I became the victim of a system or law? Anything, or how come I got a family which is like does not even love me? You accept suffering is there, but are you accepting that you are suffering?
Ooh.
There's a huge difference between that. Most of the time we struggle and we fight back the thought that we are the one who's suffering because, hey, life cannot be so unfair to me, right? Why me?
Yeah.
Everything, how can everything fall apart for just me? There's something which has to go right for me. And this is me, and this is past me. Okay. So I'm talking everything I'm talking from experience. Okay, it cannot be finance has fallen apart, family has fallen apart, I've left my country, this has happened, education, health, blah, 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 relationships. No, this cannot happen to me. There cannot be so many suffering, right? Suffering exists in everybody's life. Of course it does. But to come to a point where you're like, I'm the one who's suffering, these are two different things.
Mhm.
Until unless that acceptance is not there, it doesn't work. And that's where self-awareness comes.
Okay.
How aware are you of your emotions, about your body, about your thoughts, who you are as a person, in what state you suffer, in what state you do not suffer? So that has to come first before you find your purpose.
Ooh.
Until unless this work is done, forget about purpose. You do
Okay.
not, in this state, you will never be able to even think about purpose because you're already struggling in accepting the situation. What purpose? I have stopped seeing a future. What purpose are we talking
I get it.
about?
I get
You
it.
know? So it's like first acceptance. And when you talk about assessment, it's like, okay, I'll just like put it simply. When you are very happy, when you are feeling peaceful, when you are like enjoying your time, love everything, is there ever a desire for your heart and mind to say that I want to be sad, I want to be upset, I want to struggle? Is there a point that you ever experienced something like this?
Mm-mm.
No, right? If somebody has, I'll have to meet them. But you do not. But when you're struggling, when you're suffering, there's something inside you which fights until I want to come out of it, right?
Mm.
Which means by default, us as a human being and our soul and body is supposed to be in a peaceful and calm state.
Mm.
You know, that's what by default it's supposed to happen. So when you see that struggle inside, means, sweetheart, it's time you accept you are suffering and it's time to find some help, get that agency back in your hand, change your
Mm.
life, pull yourself out of that, and then we'll talk about purpose.
Mm.
And then purpose will change. First of all, acceptance becomes purpose. How do I accept it?
Mm.
Second, um, after accepting, what should I do? Finding help, finding the tools, finding the learning, finding the support becomes a purpose, right? Then what becomes a purpose is like doing everything that you can do to end this or getting rid of this. That becomes a purpose. So it's like micro purposes and like the macro purposes, like the short term and the long term goal that we actually talk about. But it varies for different individuals. For me, it has always been purpose, has been finding myself. And once I find that, like, and finding myself means knowing who I am as a person,
Mhm.
and then building myself in a way that, like, building myself towards the future me. That's my purpose.
Mm. Mm.
You call it selfish, call it self-centered, whatever it is, I don't care. But I just know for sure that until and unless inward journey
Mm.
happens, external journey is never going to happen. You're
Mm.
going to suffer.
Yeah.
Everything comes inward. And because I'm so sure and certain that once I stay with that purpose forever in my life, whatever I do external is going to just flow.
Mm.
It's just going to flow. If I have to put word to it, I just know that the only sense I have been able to make with suffering, and maybe this is like my way of coping with it, I feel that in a larger scheme of world, the only reason I suffer is maybe perhaps to end somebody else's suffering
Ooh.
and say that, you know what, there is an end to this. And I am an example. If I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
And I feel that my suffering and my reflection or whatever journey is sort of helping me bridge the gap between me and the others,
Mm.
between problem and solution. And perhaps I am that bridge. Perhaps my suffering has been that bridge from pain to relief,
Mm.
you know. So I feel that's the only sense I can make of my suffering, because I keep on, there was times when I used to feel so bad about it. It's like when you're suffering or what's happening is not your doing,
Mm.
it hurts even more. It's even more painful, especially when you've been somebody who you know you're a very good human being. And I tell it, I claim it, I own it more than my Forbes or gold medals or anything. I own the fact that I'm a good human being
You
and have
are.
my own and I have my own assessment criteria. It's for me. Nobody needs to know, nobody needs to accept it or agree to it. It's me, it's mine, right?
Mhm.
Um, so the only sense it made was maybe in a larger scheme of world, this suffering, I was meant to do something beautiful out of this suffering and of offer that to the world. So I mean, I'm like turning that suffering into a lesson,
Hmm.
a practical wisdom. And I say practical wisdom. For me, wisdom doesn't work if there's no practicality in it, means you cannot take action. It doesn't work to me when somebody comes and tells that, you know what, life is all about your perspective. That's wisdom, good. But tell me what I do of that wisdom now. So practical wisdom, anything that you see. So externally, when I think about wisdom, I'm sorry, suffering, that's what I think. Perhaps my purpose is to bridge that gap for others
Hmm.
between what is to what could be.
Yeah. So, so what do you say to people who say that I've accepted, but I still don't know my purpose? Because a lot of times people are in awful situations because they are out of alignment with the purpose. And when you're out of alignment with your purpose, it goes back to either you have or have not accepted something based on what I'm hearing you say. That first, I like the fact that you use the word macro and micro, micro and macro rather.
Macro,
I
yeah.
said micro and macro.
Opposite, yeah,
But,
yeah.
but I love the way you did that. I love the way you do that because those watching, I hope you're able to see that the way Ashwarya thinks and process is that inward man, that human being, the soulish realm, that part of you that is going to be with you even in the afterlife for those of you who believe in it or don't. So I think that's what connects us all the time on a deeply spiritual level as well, because that's how this framework was born. I was actually on the hospital bed writing about the things I saw, the suffering around me, and I saw people who didn't get up, but I got up. I saw so much sadness, and I didn't even know how I got there. I didn't even know. I didn't even know half the things that I was being diagnosed with, or half the things I was being told about the disaster. All of that stuff, it was news to me because it was my first time, what I call being dropped off into what I call crucible moments, a season of
Mm-hmm.
crises
Mm-hmm.
that brought the resilience to me. And so Ashwarya has one as well. And we're going to talk about that next because she's not saying this because of a textbook. She's not saying it because of a definition. I want her to then talk about well being. And her well being came out of her own personal suffering, her personal childhood suffering, even earning those awards, even coming to be who she is, because that's a key part of you understanding how to walk away with the outfit, to outfit yourself with the same thing she's saying. The show does that. Someone has been on the show that talks about how you want to turn your pain into promise. Someone has talked about how you want to take your redemption at a different pace. Someone has come through here talking about resilience through the lens of sports. And when I'm saying this, we still going to get to the redemption piece because we're talking about this for leaders. As a leader, please don't lose this part of what we're talking about. She's a leader who have suffered some things enough to know what resilience does and does not look like for herself. And then also inside of there, she has a parachute that she's gonna jump out that plane, honey, if it ain't working, honey, because she ain't gonna die with the plane, honey. I
Yep.
hope these are my words. This is my way of trying to help you understand that resilience and redemption look different on everybody, but you sure need to get one.
Yep.
You sure need to get some because standing still no longer works well for you
Yep.
because you're
I
dying
mean,
fine. So
yeah.
let's talk about the choices you've had to make to have the well-being that you have today because it wasn't always this way. Now we get into the redemption side. Redemption, as in one, it defines it for my framework, it defines it as one, an atonement. You coming back from something sorrowful. Okay, that's what we were talking about. That side of resilience from a redemptive place of sorrow. But there's another one that you did lose something in the sports realm, and that one is particularly considered a redemption card. You throw in a trump card, you're going to play that game again and try to get more points on the board so you can score a win out of that bad relationship or out of that bad grade or out of that bad business decision that you made. Now you're going to try it again and you're going to do it. Third one is what I consider the redemptive arc. That is the arc that I believe my friend is on because you come out with a transformation. You're not throwing away this. You're not sad about that. You're not only but you're taking the journey to find out the knowledge and wisdom that she has. It was through a journey, and she's coming out transformed. So, with those levels of redemption I talk about, can you please frame up the way you have suffered some of the challenges, like real life challenges that you've been through with school, with health, with all that, and put it up under well-being for the audience.
Um, oh wow. Yeah, I'm just like whoosh, going backward, right? It was a lot. I think ever since I was born, I was born into a high caste, very rich family. They wanted a son. I was a daughter. So since then, domestic violence, physical abuse started. I left home when I was pretty young. I was in grade 1. I ran towards my grandmother's place. Like I grew up with my mom's side of the family. So, and when this family dynamic happens, and as a child, you do not know why it's happening, what sense you make, but something inside is telling it's not normal because you have a reference point, and your reference point becomes your friends because you see their parents coming to sports day, but in a case, it's just your mom. Then you stop even calling your mom because something in you is not fitting well. You do not know why this emotion is coming, for what reasons. A lot of thing happens there. Then you have certain trauma informed responses, not informed in a way, but when something traumatic happens, you have your behavior changes. Never knew about it. Isolation, finding yourself odd one out, all of that happened during the school time. Bullying, um, not feeling supported. There's some personal stuff I think I'm not comfortable mentioning here, but that was not okay. Your health suffers. My health suffered. Since I was in grade 8, I was given wrong medications. I have been still suffering, coping up with that. Wrong doctors, wrong medications, navigating this journey. Like, where do I start? Like, till now, and then, like, even during work, you meet all the toxic people. You do not find the right kind of support, and your name, your caste carries so much weight that people think you're born with a silver spoon, which is not the case. And then once you do not have that, you're on your own, and you think that, and you have so many traumas accumulated, you are dealing with that. Then life shifts. You're supposed to be in US for a month. You carry just 2 pairs of clothes, but above 20 again in New York, concrete jungle without anybody, just mom and my sister. When life changes, you have lost everything back home, the career you've built. And I will say lost in terms of physical loss. Like obviously there's knowledge and there's experience that stays, but yeah, whatever you have built. I came here when I was at the age 28. So of course it's not easy. So that's all the suffering that's there. The journey has been full of suffering.
Yeah, yeah.
Which will change now. The pattern will change.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
redemption to me. That
Yeah.
is leadership redemption. To the
Yeah.
leader I'm giving birth to is you, that says, but that's going to change them.
Yeah.
And
And the
then,
reason I did not. Mhm.
yeah, and but what we're discussing is that leader needs to be trained on how to do that because there are people who may not have the safety and protection and the resources to have a clean break from a lot of the things that you've described on today. But you were saying the
Yeah.
reason that,
No, I'm saying that the reason I have not been very specific about my suffering, number one, I'm somebody who focuses on who I am, and I feel that people just have to see that if I can do it, you can do it. Number two is I'm hoping to write a book in the future, so I don't want to give away everything.
honey, don't
you
give
know,
away
you
everything.
know,
Don't do it.
I'm
Don't
just
do it.
telling. I'm just
Yeah.
telling.
That, that
Yeah,
that's really wise. I think you've shared enough. That's enough. That's enough to know
yeah,
that to let people know the same thing you just said. When you come from a high caste family, that does not mean, you are wealthy or that you have those benefits as well. No different than in my family, we would come considered back in the day a low caste or in poverty. But what we had was a large amount of faith in the Christian faith or the religious world where my dad was and parents were well known. And so we didn't necessarily could have a place where we could be kids as kids because we were always so well known. But one of the things one of my brothers would say, why are we doing this? He's the preacher, not me.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that you have the same byproduct, you're the same byproduct. No different than when I was mentoring a lot of teens who did not feel like they had the same identity that their parents
Mm-hmm.
were trying to create in them around them. Like I would say that tree is going to produce a pine cones are going to come from a pine tree. But what if
Mm-hmm.
you're in a family and you want to be a rose bush?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no room or no talk.
Yep.
If there's nothing there for you to be a rose bush, you would have to go away or figure out ways to do that. But then that's another level of resistance and resilience and endurance of a lifestyle that you didn't even choose.
Yep.
So at this point, your well-being came from what I'm hearing you say when you decided to use your agency, when you decided to say, not no more, this is not going to happen. Matter of fact, this is not you saying this today. You've been saying it since you was in first grade. You were
So
saying
yeah.
all the way up until all those years up until today that now to me the education component has been the thing that's positioned you to say this is not going to happen or
Yeah.
the access and the courage is taken to stand up to be resilient is the thing that has fortified your ability. It's a fortification making it stronger because I want to make very clear to you as the listening audience what we're talking about is not easy. There are people who are in marriages or there are people who are in relationships or jobs. There are people who are in higher education as leaders. This is about leaders. I'm interviewing leaders in leadership positions who have had to endure hardships and disruptions and come out of it in some way. Some people come out bitter, they don't come out better. Some people come out swinging and want everybody to pay for what they did or what they went through. And some people like Ashwarya is just saying, here are the definitions. Here's the redefining moments, the defining and redefining moments of what it is I've gone through as a leader. And then now I don't wish for no one else to go through it. But if I had to, it would be on the side of me suffering so no one else has to suffer. See, I'm making sure you can relate and fall in here somewhere. Don't get caught up on skin color, eye color, hair color. Don't get caught up on Harvard. Don't get caught up on nothing. Get caught up on you. Get caught up on you. So as we discuss levels of lifespan now, you know, of of the lifespan of a leader, you right,
Yeah.
who who can who has the longevity to endure
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
versus those who can't take it at all. What do you have to say with that in terms of lifespan of that leader or of the work that you've done by now and how it has really been rewarding or what more you think needs to be done to be successful?
Yeah. Oh, that those are heavy questions. If I miss anything, please repeat them and I'll try my best to answer.
Okay.
Also, like going back a little bit, when I shared my issues, I also have things to be grateful for, and I'm a person who believes in balance,
Yeah.
in and yang of life. So that's why I told limited version of that because my story is going to be incomplete. I'm not just with problems. I also had grateful, miraculous moments
Yeah.
apart from the book that also stays. Um, Something I realized is without self-awareness, nothing is going to happen in your life. Like I said, it's a journey inward, right? Until unless you make that journey, you cannot basically do anything or live an authentic life. If you are suffering and you are aware that you are suffering, and if you do not, and if you allow somebody to, I'm emphasizing that words, okay? If you allow somebody to treat you, mistreat you, then that's going to be self-abuse.
Ooh.
And nobody will, and you cannot blame anybody thereafter. Not being aware, succumbing to it is something, but
Okay.
being aware that this is the person who has been doing this to me and allowing that person to continuously do is going to be self abuse,
Mm.
especially when you have the power to say no and step out of it. I know there are girls, there are women, there are other people, not men, youths who know it's not right, but there are situations.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even like, there are different situations, but I'm talking a situation where you have a choice,
Okay.
right? So for leaders, you're calling yourself leaders, right? First, you learn to lead your life. I mean, if you cannot lead your life, how can you lead somebody else's life? Or how can you lead a society and a community?
Oh, say it again. Say it one more time. Say it.
What I'm saying is, yeah, leaders, first you have to learn to lead yourself. You cannot be a leader if you have not known how to lead yourself and you're thinking and imagining and dreaming of leading others, your community, your nation. How is that even possible? It's not authentic if I come and say, hey, Rasheen, you know what? You have to get rid of that something. I don't know, that friendship you have. It's not doing good to you. And then I still have a friend who is so unhealthy to me. Doesn't make sense. And I'm here coaching and guiding you. What? That's like, doesn't make sense. So if you are in a situation where you feel caught up and you have accepted that, yes, I'm suffering, and you know that you can change that, but you need to ask for help, you need to find support. It's okay to go and ask for help. Asking for help doesn't make you vulnerable. It shows that, oh my God, you're so courageous to accept that I'm vulnerable without giving shit what people think,
Mm-hmm.
and say that I've not given up on myself and my life.
Mm-hmm.
Accept your life, lead your life, hold yourself, be authentic to yourself. Take a journey inward. That's when you'll be fair towards the external world and in terms of what you do as a leader as well.
Good, good. So we are coming to the end of our podcast, but I can't get off of here without talking about spiritual implications of this redemptive leader and how we train them to be resilient in your work that you do. And then the component of spirituality is you're the first one I'm having this conversation with in an actual pattern, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Everyone else, the conversations have been very soulful, and they
Yeah,
talk about God all the time. It's not on any of my documentations or any of my anything,
yeah,
but all the
yeah.
guests have a spiritual component, and I wanted to make sure to allow you that space to just
Mm-hmm.
talk about a few minutes about the spiritual aspects of how you define leadership, or you could take it from the angle of redemption, you could take it from the angle of resilience, or you could take it how you want to take it, but in context of making sure we have what we need to be successful when we get out there in the middle of trauma or disruption. Or some people don't have, some people are not going through anything.
Yeah,
I want to see who they
yeah,
are and
yeah.
give them a hug and say, can you help me? But still,
Yes.
can you please just talk about your spirituality and the way it informs you of everything that we've talked about on today?
Yeah. So, for me, spirituality is all about believing energy, that there is energy, there's energy in us. The soul lives forever. That's the energy we carry. And, um, I feel that after when you die, you do not even remember who your mother and father is, right? You don't remember anything, but something that goes beyond this physical form is your soul. And I genuinely feel that soul carries what you feel right now in your life. So I want to be somebody, I'm alive right now. If I am in pain, I've done something, I can ask for help. Rasheen, I need this. Oh, doctor, I need this. Once I go away from this life and I'm a soul, I cannot call anybody. Nobody's going to come and help me, help the soul, right? I'll be termed as ghost. I don't want to be stuck there. So
Mhm.
I feel that my ultimate purpose, spiritual purpose, which informs everything for me, is that when I die and when it's time for me to take my last breath, I want to take a good thing at my heart, good
Mhm.
intentions, good feelings, peace,
Mhm.
calmness. And that is going to take me away from this life. So that is informs everything. And that only will happen. And I know this inward. Nobody has told me. It just came to me naturally. I don't know where it came from, but that will only come to me as long as I lead myself and own myself. That is not going to come if I give up on myself,
Yeah.
and that is not going to come if I do not hold myself up to the highest standard.
Mhm.
And if I don't upheld myself with this self-respect and dignity that is there for me, my self-respect and dignity is not even it's not even bigger than God. And
Ooh.
the reason I say that is when I say God, when you pray, your attention goes to your heart. I feel soul raised. I always tell that soul should be here, right? Means
Mhm.
God is in everybody because you are a creation of God. And if
Mhm.
you're not respecting yourself, if you are not upholding yourself towards it, like being dignified and living a life of purpose, it's no point praying your hand and looking at the external God that is there. First, be true to yourself. So, everything that I do is informed by this, that when I die, I want my soul to be at peace. And no matter what people have done, and even if my suffering is not my own, at least my journey after life will be my own. And I want to own up that. That
Mhm.
has to be mine. And that's going to happen through the choices I make in this life.
Yes.
So that informs everything for me.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That
Yeah.
is so beautiful.
Yeah.
As you were talking, it felt like we're lifting a veil
Yeah.
or removing a veil off of people's eyes. Our podcast has done that. It
Yeah.
is also given a lot of rich perspective, a lot of equipping and empowering that people are suffering. People are suffering in silence. People, I love the way you also said that we want to talk about this under the context of people who actually have a choice in the matter,
Mm-hmm.
which really pays homage to populations of men, women, and children around the world who are in such deep bondages, even in leadership, that they are scared for their life to make these moves. But
Yeah.
yet, we still want to sow seeds into your life. We still want to make sure that this podcast or docu-series, the video part of be a part of the docu-series, the podcast portion, of course, you'll be able to listen to this, right? But we still are going on record sowing seeds into your life, seeds into your destiny, seeds of greatness, seeds of intellect, seeds of education, seeds of helping you see that you're not alone and you're far from being over. It's far from being over for you. As we in the podcast based on redemption, I want you to be able to see how Ashwarya came from first grade, like coming up, right? Some people look at it as coming down, coming down. No, 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 no. Coming out of a high caste family, coming out of she's coming up. Most people who don't have a good handle on it, you fall through the cracks like this. See, I'm trying to talk about redemption. You fall through the cracks every time something happens. You just fold under pressure. And what I'm saying is, I understand that. I understand that so well because I have done that. I've been there and I have done that. But what we're talking about is a form of resilience training that says that we need you to ascend. We need you to now kind of like maneuver or wiggle or breathe to let somebody know you're alive in that situation you're in. So, as she is so beautifully defined resilience, right? As she so brilliantly talked about the what at the core, let's go back. Resilience in terms of me, my bag of tools, endurance, agency, emotional well-being, intellectual well-being, knowledge, and logic to know how to navigate your level of resistance. Number two, when she talked about purpose, she went back to say the first aspect of purpose is going to be self-awareness. And then if you don't know yourself, then you can just kind of like hang the phone up and nobody on the other line, basically, is what I'm saying. Okay, that's all I'm trying to tell you. Lights out, pretty much. But here we go. Here we go. So in that regard, then we then navigate our way to understanding that if you don't get a good grasp on you as a leader, now you done got the title and the label, you done got the job. I'm telling you that placard sitting on your desk and that CEO and all of the definitions of this is on your desk, but that still does not mean that you have made your way all the way over to what I call the arc of redemption, to where you feel transformed and empowered enough to do follow the definitions that Aswari is saying. So, in that regard, we have to then look at the opposite. She gave us opposing views, meaning that, okay, so we have self-acceptance, but then when you are in situation and you're being tolerated and not celebrated, and you know it, now you are entering to self-abuse. And this is what is annoying the daylights out of my friend. The people on the earth that's sitting there riding in this middle of this, and you have a choice and you have the power. And what we're saying is that's what this podcast is for. Would you please get up? Did you hear us say you got to get up? Please get up today. Please make your way over to you, yourself, your destiny, your purpose, why you're here in the first place. Please start remembering your favorite color. Start going to get yourself a treat. Start just applying to Harvard. You brilliant person. Okay, apply to anywhere you want to go to. And then let's go to well-being, right? When she talked about a lot of knowing your body, knowing yourself, showing up for you is the epitome of what it means to be well and a being that is well, right? And then when we talk about lifespan here, it is basically to say that if you don't do all the above, kiss your lifespan goodbye. Because you know what? You can smoke your way or drink your way into an unhealthy lifespan. But what I'm here to tell you today, as the founder of this podcast or as the founder of this framework, there are quicker ways to get to Jesus. There are quicker ways to get to the divine hand. That is the living with the pain of regret that you did not wake up and do everything that was in your heart to do. Now, redemption says that there's still going to be a chance there for you. Take it. Leadership redemption work with leaders to say that last school shooting or that last disruption in hiring and firing under this particular administration, under I'm not into politics that much, but you know what I'm talking about. That last recession, how well did you do? How well did you scale your comeback enough to where you found a way when there was absolutely no way possible for you to keep your whole team? Other people fired their team, but you kept your team because you are that redemptive leader. So, as we close out the podcast, it is to say to you, I hope that when you came to this table, you ordered what you want. Because Aswarya gave you some good food at this table, honey. Another thing is, I hope that you understand that the purpose of this entire podcast was to bring you a different appetite, a different flavor, a different brand, a different way of thinking and seeing and doing, that you now are one of those people who actually have a choice. You actually have a choice here. And that's what I wanted to do with my life and my platform. I wanted to share it with my colleagues so that they can bring their perspective. And then we both have given you options to be able to be redeemed from your failure, be redeemed from anything that you are not happy with. This is what Ashwarya is saying. Get up, go that way, go get up and go that way, or go that way, or that way, or that way. She talked about the micro and the macro, right? It's so weird being on camera, right? Because it's mirroring you. But here we are saying it is your day for redemption as a leader. It is your day. There is no education police that's going to arrest you for doing well. There's no relationship police. There's no Harvard police that's going to come get you if you decide you want a better life, a better path, and a better way of making sure you reach your destiny. This podcast is saying we want you to reach your destiny with less error. We want to close in the gap. In the gap. My friend says that where there's a small gap, education can come in and push, everything changes. I think I'm gonna flip my hair on that, honey. Hold on.
I wish I had a longer hair and we can
Oh
do that
yeah, get
together,
your hair
just like together.
right. But here's, I want you to give you the last thoughts, and the questions are: what are you leaving on the table, or what are you taking away from the table for yourself? And what wisdoms and advice would you have for me as I continue this journey of
Hmm.
redemption?
I'm taking myself, I said, I'm all about inward journey, right? So more reflection, knew more about myself, my purpose, whatever you call it, my well-being, which is my ultimate purpose. So just like reinforcing why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
For you, all that I can say is continue to rise and shine because you're doing a marvelous work. And the fact that I was able to come here and say what I feel happened only because through you. So you're creating that path. Continue to creating your path, even for people out there who might have their own stories, because Rasheen is that soul who can see your soul and will shed light to it, and then bring that light out from you and then give it to other people. And you are doing that already. So what do I say to you? If you have anything to tell me, instead tell that. But for me, I have no words except to tell that I'm grateful, so grateful that I met you. We created this bond of friendship and sisterhood, and I know this is gonna last for lives and lives. So yeah, I just want to say thank you, and I love you so much.
I love you, and you are so welcome. What I want to say to you is continue to advocate for yourself. It looks great on you.
Thank you.
I was in Dr. Marshall Ganz's class, and this podcast was born in his class, right? And next to me were colleagues from India who talked about the childhood traumas of being born a girl and how those girl babies are thrown away. Not even a thought, a second thought, and giving the boy babies all of the praise and the honor and the care, but the girl babies. And I was sitting in there, didn't feel like I could fit in a world enough to say, tell me more, tell me more. Meeting you is the first time I feel so loved and accepted outside of my own culture, enough to say, Aishwarya, I actually see what you're saying. And that's the gift you have as a seer. You can see, even in darkness, even in barrenness, even in places where there is no hope at all. So continue to, what I said about you, you lift the veil.
Thank you.
That's what you do
Thank
for
you.
people. They
Thank
came
you.
in darkness and you just said, whoop, access.
Reality.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I just got goosebumps when you said that, but thank you so much. I take that words at my heart, my soul, and I take it very seriously.
Yes.
Thank you, Rasheen.
You're welcome. But everybody, this is the end of our podcast. And as I always say, when I find you, I'm going to ask you, so what brings you to the table? The table of redemption. And I do want you to answer. How have you changed humanity? What are you doing? What would you like to do? Where have you gone? Where are you going? Who are you taking with you? And how long do you plan to stay there? Because your life matters as a leader. We know that there's so much decline in our society, health wise, financially, climate change, and you name it, you just name it. But you do not have to fall with it. You can rise. And for me and my friend Aishwarya, you're quite resilient enough to do it. Have a good day. Bye bye. We did it.
Wow, that was intense. It was
The Table of Redemption podcast disclaimers. Views expressed, branding, and mutual benefit. The Table of Redemption podcast is part of the collaborative refinement phase of the Leadership Redemption Framework before it goes to market. This is a research-based initiative led by myself, Rasheen Jamison-Richardson, your host. Guest participation contributes to scholarly exploration through narrative inquiry and receives platform exposure in return. Rasheen, myself, do not receive financial compensation from guest appearances or their affiliated work. This project is not formally endorsed by Harvard University, Harvard Graduate School of Education, or any institution or any sponsorships at this time. Any reference to anyone's brand, including Harvard's brand, are solely based on my academic experiences as a graduate student and now an alumni. and I do not imply institutional affiliation or approval on any of the content that I am producing. This is all my original work, designed, built, and invented by me across a 20-year experience as an educator and practitioner and researcher. All stories remain the intellectual property of the guest and are shared with mutual respect, transparency, and the shared goal of building bridges of hope and redemption in times of crisis. To continue following the Table of Redemption podcast, you may visit www.thetableofredemption.com. You may be able to find our content on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast.